Hello, bonjour, I'm GM Nitai. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In fact, welcome to my very first YouTube video. This is the first video of a series designed to guide you along your watercolor journey. In this video, I will go over the 6 art supplies that you need to start with, namely paper, paint, brush, palette, water cup, and an absorbent cloth. First, let's start strong by gathering the supplies that you probably already have around the house. First thing, water cup. I usually have 2 cups, one to rinse my brush and the other one has pure water so that I don't mix up the paint in my palette. I like to keep my paint very clean. Second, palette. I bought this off Amazon, but you don't need to buy one. I'm sure you already have some kids palette lying around the house, or if you don't, take a plate. Lastly, you would need an absorbent cloth. This is the vestige of my children's babyhood. It is 100% cotton swaddle that I have kept. If you don't have a cloth, which is highly unlikely, you can use paper towel, but you would have to throw them all the time, so it's not very economical. It is more eco-friendly to use up all these rags that you've been saving up for the just in case scenarios. So now let's talk about the supplies that you would need to buy. Throughout this video, I will give you 3 options for each art material. The first option for each art material would be low cost but decent quality. The second option is medium price and intermediate quality. And the third option is high priced and premium quality. Paper is arguably the most important art supply that you will need and that I would recommend to invest in. You can have average paint and average brush, but if you have good paper, it makes a great difference. But at the same time, these are also okay. Don't let the lack of money or the lack of supplies stop you from starting your watercolor journey. These are my kids' watercolor pads and they're pretty decent. I'll show you. I painted these from these pads, which is pretty good. So if you have them lying around or if that's all you can afford, by all means, go for them. I would say though, please get 100% cotton. Don't get a mixture of wood or cotton. It doesn't work. And this pad is 190 GSM. So GSM basically indicates the thickness of the paper. The higher the thickness, the better. It will absorb better and then your paper won't warp and overall good quality. There are also these pads that I can definitely recommend. I use them a lot. They're from Aldi. This one, however, is only 150 GSM, but somehow they have worked well for me. When you open the pad though, you'll have to make sure what sort of tint they have. Let me show you. Let me show you what I mean. I'm trying to find a white page. So this is one of the options that they have. It has a very blue tint, and this one, trying to find a white page, you see the clear difference. This pad is very white, at least it's whiter than the bluish tint one. It is very important as much as possible to get white paper, in my opinion. In watercolor, we don't tend to use white paint. We use the white of the paper and let it shine through as the white and to indicate lightness. So if you have a choice, if you can open the pad and see the whiteness of the paper, definitely go for the white. These ones, as I say, I use a lot. I can recommend them as a budget yet very good. If the Mont Marte brand is very good actually. If you manage to get the Mont Marte, I say it in French, but I guess in English it will be Mont Marte, something like that. If you manage to get that in 300 GSM, by all means get it, because ideally that's what we should be working on, a 300 GSM 100% cotton watercolor paper. Now for the intermediate quality intermediate quality and medium priced paper. This is a Canson paper. I'm just showing you the results. This is from one of the classes that I had with my watercolor students at school. Last term I taught watercolor at my kids' school, so I recommended for them to buy the Canson. This particular one was a Mont Marte, and it came in a mega pad of 100 sheets, which 100 sheets might sound like a lot, but if you're very dedicated, you'll go through them in no time, especially since it's a pad, an A3 pad. So for 100 sheets, and it was about $84, it's less than $1 for a page, so it's 84 cents for an A3 page. And I usually paint on A4, so you can cut the A3 pages in two and get 200 pages, which is a very good price. So I would highly recommend for the medium quality Canson. It's pretty good, like, you know, it's close to premium. I would highly recommend it. And for premium paper, top of the range, I would recommend the Buckingford, I hope I'm saying it right, Buckingford watercolor paper. This one is a cold press, so the texture is a bit less. My preference is the rough, for sure, because I love a lot of texture. I love how the paint settles in the grooves of the paper, because it's the wells, let's say. Or you can also use hot press. These ones are more polished and they actually barely have any texture. These are mainly for illustrations. They render a marker like feel. So these are the loose paper packs. But for my everyday exercises, I tend to paint every day, at least a few pages. I would recommend these ones. So obviously these ones are premium, they're very expensive. I bought them straight from this website. I'm trying not to butcher the name. So it's I guess it's Cuthbert's Mill. The postage was massive. But yeah, these are my recommended paper. It's in rough and it's 300 GSM. So is this one. Now let's talk about watercolor brushes. This is only half of my brush collection. I have been painting for many years, for 32 years to be precise, so I have had the opportunity to build up on my collection over many years, but you don't have to start with all that. Actually, I will give you my little recommendation on the ones to start first. So if you are starting off on a low budget, I would highly recommend the Mont Marte actually. I use them a lot, even though I have intermediate quality brushes and premium brushes. I use these ones the most lately actually. Typically in watercolor, the most used brushes are the round brushes. We also do use the flat brush. Actually, I will show you a range of brushes when we get to the intermediate section. But yes, definitely, if you're starting off on a low budget, the Mont Marte, these are Mont Marte, they're really good, all of them. I use them a lot because they are very stiff, they snap back, and they give me a level of control, especially for calligraphy, which I do a lot lately. The sizes that I would recommend for the brush, so I would recommend that you start off with a number 6 and a number 12. I don't see my sticker here, but that's not. So this is a 6 And this is a 12, if you can see it. So this is a 6 and this is a 12. I would recommend to start with that. And if you can afford one more, I would recommend a number 2, which is a fine liner for detailing. And if, let's say, if in your area you don't have Mont Marte, the other 2 brands that are good to start with is the Camlin or the Micador. These are the 2 brushes that I started off with for watercolor, at least, and I've used them a lot. I wouldn't say they're definitely not intermediate, but they're definitely good to start with. For the medium priced intermediate quality, I would recommend the Princeton brushes. So these are my Princeton brush. This is a round brush, your normal round brush. These 2, this is flat brush. We also call it, I call it a mop brush, but it's not. These are good to have if you can afford them, you know, but they're not required. I would also recommend the Raphael brand. Don't know if you can see it. Raphael, it's actually made in Mauritius. I have been painting with the Raphael brushes since I was in high school. Actually, I have been painting for a long time, since I was 8 years old, but I have not always been painting with Raphael because they, you know, I could not afford them back then. But they render very good quality for their price. And I can definitely recommend the Faber-Castell brand. Don't know if you can see it. How would you say that? Faber-Castell. And for premium quality brushes, I personally use the Jean Haynes watercolor brushes. These have been designed by my watercolor teacher. Her name is Jean Haynes. You probably see it on the brush. She's the person I learned watercolor from, so I also bought her set of brushes. They're by Rosemary. They're from England and they are very expensive. I don't know if I would recommend it for just everybody. Because I learned from her, I wanted to use the exact material that she was using, so I got them. But I have to say, I don't feel in control with these brushes. Sometimes this is the look I'm going for, this is the feel that I'm going for, but yeah, I think she has designed them according to the sumi-e Japanese style, where the brushes are not firm, they're very soft. You can see they don't snap back like my Princeton brushes. So unless you want to paint in her style, I would say stick to the Princeton brush. I have painted with them a lot. They're pure sable, it says here, Kolinsky sable. So it is not a synthetic brush. All the other brushes I've shown you are synthetic fibers. This one is pure fibers, like natural fibers from an animal. So it obviously costs a lot. I don't think they kill the animal. I think they just... Anyway, let's just not go there. So this is for the brush. Let's talk about paint. Starting up in the low-cost budget watercolor, I would recommend the Mont Marte again. This is the set that I bought for my children and I'm quite happy with them. They yield decent results. I'll show you. They yield decent results. I mean, obviously this is my 5-year-old who's painting it, so you know, he's not Picasso, but they have very vivid, bright colors. I would recommend them as a low budget. If that's all you can afford and all you have, start with what you have. Don't wait till you have money or whatever. Start today, especially when we get to the upcoming videos where I will go over the basic strokes that you need to practice over and over again to get better at mastering your brush and what it does. You don't require fancy paints or fancy brushes. Start with what you have. If that's what you have at home, start with it. For the intermediate quality, medium price paint, I would recommend Winsor & Newton in the Cotman series. The Cotman series are designed for students, so they are mediumly priced as compared to the premium professional watercolor. This is the first watercolor set I bought. It's a half pan. I think it was discounted on Amazon, so I got it. I would probably recommend that you buy the tubes instead. I will list the 6 colors that I would recommend to start with. The absolute essentials are the first 3. If you can get the first 6, great, but slowly build up your collection from there. And these are the watercolors that I currently use. I use mainly Winsor & Newton Professional, the Professional series. These are excellent. It is probably one of the best in terms of quality. I also use a lot of Daniel Smith. I use many of Daniel Smith watercolors because once again, my watercolor teacher, Jean Haynes, that's what she uses. And yeah, I really love them. I especially love the Primer Tech series where they use pure semi-precious stones to make those paints. So this is crushed lapis lazuli that I use. One of my favorite is Tiger's Eyes. I use it a lot for portrait. It renders a very good skin tone. And let's see, this is my probably absolute favorite that I use the most out of this collection is Amethyst. I tend not to use black in my paints, so for shading and for adding shadows, I use this paint, Amethyst. It's a dark purple. So obviously premium quality means high price. I also use this set of inks a lot. Actually, they are very vibrant. They by Dr. Martens, and once again, they're premium, high quality ink. Actually, they're not ink. Technically, they're radiant concentrated watercolors. I also have the ink, a few of the inks, but yes, this is expensive. I bought them straight from their website and the shipping was quite a lot. This can be included in the intermediate paints that I would recommend. They by Derwent. The quality is great. And the price is actually very affordable. This is the Ink Tense series. This is palette number 1 and palette number 2. If ever you had to choose between one, let's say you're on a budget, but you still want good quality, I would recommend palette number 1 because the primary colors are closer to their natural state. But if you can afford both, you can get them as a whole set. Like you don't have to get them separately. They have it together. So this is it for me on the advice that I would give regarding art supplies. I hope that you have found this video and all the tips and tricks helpful. If you feel inspired, please like my video and share it with other friends who might find it useful too. And please subscribe to my channel. As I mentioned, this is my first YouTube video, but do not worry, I will be uploading more videos in this series over the coming weeks. Until then, keep painting. Remember, start small, but start now. Thank you. Bye. Au revoir.